The city of Denver, the state of Colorado, you guys have been fucking amazing for the last 10 years. Have been fucking amazing for the last 10 years. Let me start off with a Twitch feed this morning, and I got to get the whole name right. Mile High Hockey Land. The city of Denver, the state of Colorado, you guys have been fucking amazing for the last 10 years. Let me start off with a Twitch feed this morning, and I got to get the whole name right. Mile High Hockey Land. The city of Denver, the state of Colorado, you guys have been fucking amazing for the last 10 years. Let me start off with a Twitch feed this morning, and I got to get the whole name right. Mile High Hockey Land.
Welcome to the Mile High Hockey Lab.
Hello, and welcome to the Mile High Hockey Lab emergency podcast, which was certainly necessary. We're just going to say that. I'm joined by Brennan. Jackie was here. I think she will be joining us shortly. I'm not going to lie. I just got back from driving like 3 hours today. So I'm going to hand this one off to Brennan, and he will quickly go over this entire deal for all of you taking a listen. So go ahead, Brennan.
I've been trying to keep up myself, but so about an hour ago, I saw that Taylor Hall was scratched from the game last minute, and I know Evan has the other Evan, not our glorious master in chief, Evan, has been saying that the Chicago GM has been in the building the last few games or a couple games. And then also I did see a post that that Chicago had, or the Colorado Avalanche had a scout at the Chicago game today. So that was also an eyebrow raiser. So so Taylor Hall went to Carolina. I don't know what Chicago got in return because I haven't. A third?
Allegedly. I don't think nothing's official yet, but allegedly, yeah, they're getting a third from Carolina, not us. Well, the Avs don't have a third anyway. Carolina has 2/3 this year. So
Okay.
supposedly that's what Chicago's getting for the retention and Hall. Allegedly, at this point, that's what it seems like.
Okay. And then Mikko is coming from the Avs to Carolina for Necas. And forgive me if I slaughter this name. I always have is I'm not good.
Kotkaniemi?
Yeah.
Gary Kotkaniemi.
Yes, I just call him Beauty Mark Boy because he has that beauty mark.
So basically, I'll admit I'm still catching up here, but this is basically a 3-team trade between the Colorado Avalanche, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yes,
I had seen, at least when I was doing a break from driving, that there was that Hall had been scratched, like you said, right? And there'd also been a joke, I guess, about Seth Jones also being scratched, and there's a joke about Colorado, being involved in that somehow.
Jones was sick.
Yeah. So, and now here you are. Right now, Colorado is involved. This is a massively unbelievable trade. I like what Mika said just a second ago. I was supposed to go to sleep, and now you're wide awake. I don't blame you, because my goodness, this is a massive, massive deal. And I'll send this one over to you, Jackie. We've talked about, and you specifically have said, like, oh, Rantanen, like, if he's gone, like, that's the window. That's it.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah,
is that still believed? Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's done. And I like Necas. I do. I think he's a good player, but he's Mikko on a good day. That's not every day. He's Mikko on a good day, and the Avs are going to have to pay him. He's 1 year to UFA, so next year and then UFA. Which, like most big deals, the Avs acquire somebody probably knowing what it's going to take to sign him. So I'm not going to say he's going to walk, but I mean, he's a good player. I would have loved to add him, but this is Mikko Rantanen here, the top 10 player in the league. You're not getting a top 10 player in the league back. So, I mean, that's what all. I mean, I'd have to see a whole lot of other pieces to think that this is going to add up. If it's just Kotkaniemi, I mean, you're not getting any of their futures. You're not getting any of their NHL-ready prospects. They have a ton.
So Elliot Friedman is confirming Kotkaniemi is not part of this.
Okay, now I did see Emily Kaplan said Jack Drury, which I would like a little bit better. He's younger, but he's still kind of more of like a middle six, third line-ish guy. But at least he'd be a younger piece. But I mean, this team is built on 3 elite players. This team is not built on extensive depth. So yeah. I do. I definitely think the window's done. Like, why couldn't you just pay him? Like, that's just mind-blowing, really, that it came to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you make an excellent point there. Like, and we've talked about too how, if you lose Rantanen, you can't necessarily replace him, and you can't do that with I guess 3 or 4 different players, right? And so we should preface, like, this is nothing is fully confirmed yet, but something is in the works. 100%. I think that's a guarantee, right? So the Emily Kaplan tweet that was just referenced, she just tweeted this 5 minutes ago. The massive 3-way deal will send Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall to Carolina, Martin Necas and Jack Drury to Colorado per sources. Chicago takes 50% of Rantanen's salary and gets its own 3rd-round pick back. So it sounds like that Colorado, at least for now, is only getting Necas and Drury, which, one, ironic that we're getting another Drury, and 2, if you're only getting 2 players out of this,
that's exactly
and no picks either. Like,
Carolina has a ton of NHL ready prospects or close to. Like, they have a very deep prospect pool. If you can't even snag one of those for Mikko Rantanen, like, what are we doing here?
Well, and I think it's funny that Jack Drury's uncle is Chris Drury.
I know it just begins, right? It's all interconnected, right? Now, I guess I can't believe that we're about to say this, but what does this make Mikko Rantanen's legacy in Colorado? I can't believe that this is it. This is like the 7th best scoring player in the entirety of Avalanche and Nordique history. Like, it's just unbelievable. And I'm going to hand this one off to Ado because he's actually here now. Thank you for hosting on such a late notice.
I'll keep it brief.
What's your reaction?
I'm out in public right now, so I'm giving you a live remote. Usually that's you doing it, Evan, but my initial reaction is honestly, as a layman, emotional fan, pure devastation. And I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that. Brendan, you laugh, but I'm telling you, man.
Okay. You know how many texts I've gotten in the last 5 minutes?
Yeah.
And I'm just
me included,
all trying to confirm with me, and it's like, you think I have horses? No.
Well, I'll let you know. I'm at Dave & Buster's right now, and I'm standing there, and
I'll be there in a couple days.
The giant screen is playing Dallas and Vegas, and they go to intermission, and the biggest bottom screen banner I've ever seen reads, Mikko Rantanen getting traded to the Carolina Hurricanes.
You probably had a heart attack.
Yes, my jaw hit the floor. I immediately thought about how stupid that makes me look because I've been pounding on the table saying that there's no way they let him go because you got to pay somebody who's going to probably retire a top 15 player of all time at minimum. And you didn't do that. Not only did you not do that, but as it sounds right now, Carolina's not doing that yet either. So it's really starting to feel to me like the Avs, the message this sends to me is that the Avs don't think they're in position to make a run for the Cup, at least not as the team is currently formed, because you don't give up the basically fourth best player in the world if you think you have a run at the Cup.
Okay, so I'll put it this way, but Carolina also let Jake Getzel go last year too.
Okay, but Brandon, I love you, Jake Gensel or Mikko Rantanen.
Well, you get my point. They gave away the farm for Getzel, and then they let the boy walk.
Yeah, and
but
here's the thing for me.
Necas for a rental.
No, and originally we were told it was Kotkaniemi. I don't know. I like that a lot more than what I'm hearing in terms of it potentially
I like
being
Drury better than.
So
I like Drury better than Kotkaniemi.
I like the. Is Drury a center?
According to Jay Fresh, I just had it pulled up. Yes.
Yes, he is a center.
Okay, well then I'm cool with
left.
it. I'm cool with it. Honestly, my takeaway is I'm gonna have a very hard time putting that number 96 jersey in the back of the closet. And
you and
every
everyone
time
else.
I buy a new one, I'm gonna think about the fact that the last really nice jersey I bought was a player who put a freaking championship in the rafters, but then you allowed to walk. In fact, you traded him. I get it, though. I'll tell you this. That being said, at least this isn't Ryan O'Reilly again. At least the Avs are getting something in return for someone who has the caliber of a Mikko Rantanen. I just think you're hard-pressed to give me an argument where anything is enough, unless it's just gaudy.
I hope there are other moves then. Then I hope they don't go hog wild at the deadline and get and get rid of everything else they have left if they feel like they need to kind of retool a little bit.
Well, and I'm wondering, Jackie, if they're really going with the Seattle approach, I guess, to cash in your next paycheck early for 3 or 4 guys by committee. I'm looking at the TV screen right now. This is the reported trade details. Hurricanes get, who is that? Kakinen and Taylor Hall. Avs get Necas and Drury. Sorry, Hurricanes got Rantanen and Taylor Hall. Avs get Necas and Drury. Blackhawks get a pick.
Oh, I think we lost him. But I mean, he's kind of reading what we have already said about Rantanen and Taylor Hall going to Carolina. Again, let's just reiterate: this is not the trade call has not happened yet, but this is 99.9% sure happening. That Mikko Rantanen is going. First off, we should mention that Chicago is kind of playing the middleman here. So technically, Rantanen went to Chicago and then went to Carolina because Rantanen is getting 50% of his paycheck from the Chicago Blackhawks. And then Chicago is getting its own third-round pick back, I believe, going to Carolina, but I don't quote me on that. But regardless, the big piece here is Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall going to the Carolina Hurricanes, and then coming back to the Colorado Avalanche are Jack Drury and Martin Necas. And so we've touched. This has been a very reactionary episode, right? So far, emergency pod, everything's all over the place. I just drove 3 hours. Brendan's trying to figure out what the hell's going on, just like everybody else, right? So here's at least some informative things here about Martin Necas. In 49 games this year, he has 16 goals, 39 assists, and has 55 total points. He is leading the Carolina Hurricanes in point scoring this year, which is obviously great if you're looking at it from a Colorado Avalanche perspective. Is it better than Mikko Rantanen? I would lean towards no. As for Drury here, he has played in 39 games. He only has 3 goals, 6 assists for 9 total points. He's only played in 39 games, granted, but I mean, you at least give the Avs a little bit more of a depth option. But beyond that, I guess the jury is still out on that one, right?
Well, you know what this does also is that this may have just solidified us. Well, I say us, but the Avalanche getting rid of Middlestat by the deadline.
How so?
I'd hope so, but I mean,
they just got 2 centers.
okay, well, Mikko needs then who's replacing Mikko? If you're saying like if they had traded Byram for Necas, I would have accepted that way more. Like I thought that was more in line of what was realistic. Now he's taken a step forward this year. So
the reactions of Ezra are priceless.
Welcome to the call, Ezra. Becky. Give us your reaction right now.
I'm supposed to have comedians over in like 10 minutes and be funny, and I'm in mourning. What? They've never seen me cry before. I don't want tonight to be the first night. This is crazy. If you ask me to bet like any amount of money on whether Rantanen played 10 more years in Colorado or was traded this season, I would have put $1 million on 10 more years. It's shocking. I had to take a cold shower.
It's just crazy. We're all with you. We're all with you.
And I almost bought a Mikko Rantanen jersey the other day.
I mean, everybody was wrong. I mean, that it's not just you. I mean,
right.
Who really thought that the Avs would actually do this? I mean, it was always like, there'll be a deadline. They'll talk again. They'll talk this summer. There'll be some posturing. Okay. But to actually make the decision that you aren't going to pay, nobody believes.
Real quick, Jackie. I think Brennan has official details.
Kaplan's saying that we get picks. We're getting picks.
Oh, okay. That makes it a little bit better.
Okay, so second rounder in the 2025 draft, and a and the fourth in the 2026 draft as well.
No.
I think I feel like when we're just looking at this sort of whole deal. Okay, so now we have picks thrown into the deal, right? Now it's looking as though maybe the Avs can get a little bit more future ahead of them, right? But
I'd rather have Carolina's prospects because they might actually play them. Like a second, like the Avs are just going to spend it for 2 because they already had a second in this draft. Another one, they're just going to spend it on rentals.
Maybe. Does this not signal some kind of future gazing happening?
Well, like I said, I'd much rather Carolina has a ton of prospects. They have close to NHL ready ones. They have ones playing in Europe. I would rather that than a pick because they actually would play that player.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I don't disagree with you, but
I just got a text. My friend is saying this has got to mean a Landy return, and I don't want to burst this bubble and say it doesn't.
I was going to bring that up. That probably does not do much in terms of that. Sure, it opens up a little bit of cap space. I have to go back and I have to go do the math on this. But if Rantanen has, I don't remember what his deal is now. I think it's 9 point something. His current
9.25.
Yeah, so 9.25.
I know that is off the top of my head. I think
50% of that is being paid by Chicago. So the Avalanche are only paying him now. What is that? About 4 point something million now. Sure, that opens up about $5 million in cap space for them. But you also have to think about Martin. You have to think about Necas. You have to think about Drury. You have to think about these picks that are coming along, and you also think of other moves that might be happening, right? Chris McFarland.
That's it too. If they were 100% done, but like they still need a defenseman, so I mean that's going to be money right there.
Oh, you're not saying that Middleton's good enough?
No. Bednar needs to start looking at his analytics reports and get off that train.
Just not for the Dallas game because Milton looked really good in that one. Don't look at that one.
More update here, I guess, about this. So this is also from Frank Cervalli. Not sure how to process this yet, but Impeccable Source said that this Rantanen deal was not the biggest thing on the table in the last 48 hours. So I don't know. 1,400 of you just said that. Thank you all for listening, by the way. 1,400 of you on a reaction pod on a Friday night. Thank you guys for tuning in so much. Be sure to give our website a follow at Mile High Hockey on Twitter right above us. MHH Lab. Oh, now we're up to 1,500. We are just going up, baby. Maybe not like the Avalanche and Mikko Rantanen's lack of a new contract now. Sorry, too soon?
So I want to ask about that. Do you all feel like this is like season killing?
Oh, I think the window's done.
I knew you were going to say that, but what about anyone else?
I feel like I can't make a determination yet because first of all, this isn't confirmed yet. Maybe somehow, some way, this entire thing falls apart and this podcast becomes a wash.
Sure.
But you have to look at Necas. He's a great player. Necas is a great player. Is he Mikko Rantanen level? No, I don't think so. I don't think that. And necessarily, like, they could still be in contention with him, but then, like, they don't really, like, improve that much, I don't think. And it's just such a huge kill. I feel like no matter what way you look at this trade is a loss for the Colorado Avalanche. When you are losing a top 3 forward, one who you have relied on for the entirety of the last, like, half decade, he's one that he led the way to the Stanley Cup. Like, that's just something that you are not going to replace. And I think I've mentioned that before. I know Jackie's mentioned that before. I know a lot of us have mentioned that before, right? And sure, Joe, you might be saying that the Avs aren't done. I don't disagree with that. But I mean, who are you going to bring in with what assets you have that's better than Rantanen? I feel like that there's not many out there that can do that. There's David Pastrnak. I mean, I don't think he's leaving. Connor McDavid definitely not leaving. Draisaitl definitely not leaving. Like, Sidney Crosby maybe, but even then, like, I feel like that's just a reverse, going in reverse at that point if you're bringing in a 30-something-year-old Sidney Crosby who hasn't been the same player. So
don't get me going about people saying Crosby coming.
No,
I know. Well, it's just something to address here because this entire debacle has just been insane. Like, it's just ridiculous. So the Avs are probably not done. I don't disagree with that, but I also think that this is at least pretty close to season killing. I can't make the determination yet.
So here's what I like about it. Obviously, I don't like it. Just like top, like A1. I wish they did not do this. But what I like about it is Necas and Drury to an extent, but Drury's really the kind of Drury's like the Jay McClement with the Eric Johnson deal, where you're like, he was here. I don't remember him being here. But Necas is a younger version of a slightly younger player who's going to be around for a little bit longer. Kind of maybe theoretically could open up a little bit of more longevity in the top 6. Theoretically, somebody who can bring a little bit more of a young drive to the lineup that it feels like has been missing this season. So there's like potential for that to work out. He's obviously been very good in Carolina this year. The potential for him has been like the top of everyone's tongues all the last 4 years or whatever in Carolina. So there's something to be excited about in Necas. I like Roslovic. He fits a hole in this roster really clearly. That 3-4 center. Sorry, I said Roslovic. I meant to say Jack Drury. I'm looking at Carolina's cap breakdown right now, and Roslovic is right there in the middle of it. But Jack Drury, I do like him as a player. I don't like him as a player in a trade for Rantanen. That's not what I'm saying. But I do like him as a player. So just talking about the guys coming in, there's reason to be excited. But I can't get over, like, to trade Mikko Rantanen away and not get first-round picks back, no matter who you're getting, it feels crazy to me. It feels crazy to me.
That's an excellent point when you think about the lack of a first-round pick there. I don't know. I be honest, I don't know about Carolina's situation on that, but or even Chicago's if they wanted to try and do something with that. But
yeah, let's take their first.
But I mean that Frank Stravali report of, like, if this was not the biggest deal that Rantanen had, does that mean that there was a different deal, a different trade deal, or were the
I would think it'd be the Vancouver mess.
Yeah, me too.
It didn't mean the biggest deal from the Avs. It just meant the biggest deal. We've been hearing about the Vancouver mess for days.
Well, apparently Vancouver was in the works with Carolina, and Vancouver shot it down. Either JT Miller or Vancouver shot it down.
Carolina does have their first this year.
Man, that just makes it brutal, I feel like.
Both guys are signed for next season already, so at least they're not like out the door. You'd think a Necas extension is coming. It's hard to get excited about it, but there's reason to be if you want to find it.
I think too. I think we're kind of looking at it like a here and now moment, but also look at this a little bit in a future sense. Of the cap is going up a crap ton before this offseason, right? That gave the Avalanche so much more room to negotiate with Rantanen and try and get something going. We have heard, in the last, I guess, few months that he was testing 14 million in the market, right? That's certainly possible, I feel like, right? But the Avalanche had the leverage here. They could offer the extra year. You have negotiating rights exclusively for him until July 1st. Like, you have plenty of opportunities there. Did they really, truly not believe that they could get a deal done? Jackie, what do you think?
That did they what that they
that they believed right now that they could not get a deal with Rantanen before July 1st, and that's why they traded.
I mean, like I've always said, I mean, only they knew how far they were willing to take it. So if they had an internal discussion and they said, no matter what, we're not going over, the McKinnon amount or 12 million or whatever it is, I said only they know what truly the line in the sand is. So, I mean, I wish they would have made the decision earlier. Like Necas was available over the summer. Supposedly there was a deal made, agreed upon with Buffalo. It's just he wouldn't sign an extension with Buffalo. So that they don't have a Mikko Rantanen. So that right there tells you, what kind of deal, and it was agreed upon. Because that tells you what kind of deals. So, if you were going to do it over the summer, and you could probably get way more from them in a package deal for him. And Necas has taken a step forward this year. So, I mean, that's helped his value as well. But, yeah, it's just hard to believe that they made an internal decision. I mean, at the end of the day, we're probably talking about a difference of like $1 million, maybe $2 million here. Like that's a Parker Kelly. Like the Parker Kelly is the difference between keeping Mikko and letting him go. So to me, it seems it does seem hasty. I don't know. I think most of the fan base, everyone thought they'll work it out. Like Mikko's an Av for life. He's part of the three. He's part of the engine that runs. They play him 26 minutes a night. I mean, is Necas even ready for that? Well, you know what I mean? Like it's not like he's just coming on the team. It's not like he's replacing Middlestad or something, and you're like, oh, he's a good player. This is great. He's having a good year. He has to replace Mikko. Think about everything that he has to replace.
Yeah.
The minutes,
here's a
the
crazy
responsibility.
Thought, here's a crazy thought is that the Avs do this trade. They get all that the picks in return, and they get Mikko back during the summer.
Well,
I love
what money?
price.
With like Monopoly money.
Positive. Just trying to be positive.
I knew someone would bring it up.
I hope everybody can make sense of this and feel okay. Bye.
So long, Ezra. I think we're all in the same boat when it comes to that department. I guess.
I mean, I'll say at least I like Necas, so at least I can appreciate that part of it. Like, I won't mind seeing him in an Avs jersey, but I mean, to not have Mikko there, and he's played almost every game for the last 3 years. I mean, I don't think just not having him there will be accounted for on the team. Just everything that he was, everything that he did. I mean, I talked the other day that he could be captain, and I'm not taking anything back that I said. So, I mean, it's just monumental, the decision that they made.
Does Mikko have a full no-move clause? Did he have to agree to this?
He has a small one. I think it was like 6 teams or something. So, highly doubtful Carolina was on it.
Well, Carolina is actually somewhat competitive, so...
And they have a lot of Finns. I mean, I could see him fitting in there very well. They have a lot of Finns. They're a good team. They've always needed somebody. Like Carolina is so good, but they just need that one guy to come up in the clutch and score. So I could see him fit very well with them, and I think he'll sign there. You don't make like Necas is valuable to Carolina. You just don't move him for a rental. So I think that they understood where this is headed. And they just weren't willing. They weren't willing to pay Necas a lot of money. Like,
so, but are they really going to pay Mikko $104 million?
Yeah, I think they will.
Gee, I think you're right. I think you're right.
But you also got to wonder, why wouldn't they pay Necas? This is kind of like the same thing Middlestat with Buffalo. It's like he was like a big part of their team, but why were they unwilling to pay him money? What was it about him that they decided like they weren't going to do it? And that's the same thing that Carolina feels like with Necas. They refuse to pay him what he's asking for. And that's the reason why he signed the 2-year deal, because he knew that that's what it would take to get him moved. So you also got to wonder why teams won't commit to somebody.
Well, and Rantanen had a 9-team no trade.
Okay, it was small. So I would say I doubt Carolina was one of the 9 teams listed, but you never know.
Now, of course, we are always trying to think ahead, and Megan Akeley did also say that she believed that Wood wouldn't play in an Avalanche uniform again. He is due to play possibly on Saturday. So if he does play, that frees up what? I'm sorry. If he ends up getting traded, that frees up 2.5 in the cap. Another 2.5 in the cap.
If who gets traded?
Miles Wood.
I mean, he has 4 years left, and he just said publicly he's had a back injury that he's dealing with for the rest of his career. He's not getting moved for positive value. And the Avs went out and specifically targeted getting him. That's why they had to pay him a 6-year contract. They're not moving him.
I think here. Sorry, I'm just processing everything.
Yeah, it's a Brad Stewart deal type thing. Yeah, because we all remember what happened to Brad Stewart. Picking up Brad.
Yeah.
My question with all this too is, where does Nathan McKinnon figure into this? Like,
Nate's gone.
Was this something that was ran across Nate's table? I mean, I know that that's like taboo in sports right now to like consider a top end talent, when you're making management decisions. But I mean, we're talking about Nathan McKinnon here. Is this something that he had to say all right to, I guess? I mean, maybe not had to, but do you think he was considered?
I do. I think he's that important. So yeah.
I mean, it is his winger, his line mate, his wing mate, whatever you want to call him.
It might be more like, what do you think of Necas? Like, do you think he's good? More than like, are you okay with us trading Mikko? Because that's not really up to him.
I think you're looking at it the wrong way, Ado, is that the person they probably would have asked would have been Landy. Because we all know that they are like complete besties.
I don't think there's any besties on this team anymore.
Well,
they're not. They don't have that vibe.
I
mean, Landy's irrelevant right now. I mean,
yeah,
it's true.
But I'm just saying.
It doesn't matter what he. I mean, they'll always respect him, and I'm sure he knows what's going on. But he can't have that kind of voice. It's not even really his team anymore, if we're being honest.
So I'm thinking about the timing of this, and to me, this feels like something that doesn't get done quickly, especially considering it was a 3-team thing. And this morning, I sent Brennan a snapshot of Landeskog boarding the flight to Boston with the team, and I asked him, I said, hey, does Landeskog, has he usually been traveling with the team? And Brennan said, no, not usually. And now, initially we were all like, oh, cool, Landeskog's going on the trip. Well, now that's like, to me, like you brought your emotional support Landeskog, and you're going to have to basically navigate adding this new person to the first line, to the first power play, and that's a lot of work and somebody you need leadership for. And then the last thing I'll say about the Landeskog thing is the first thing my father said, and he's a lifer, he's a diehard like me, but he, like me, is emotional, but maybe goes even further. And he said, you know, shame on Landeskog for waiting this long to give them an answer on what he was going to do with his future, because it feels like right now Mikko Rantanen is the fodder of that. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I
I
can't
won't.
say that anyone is necessarily wrong to think about that.
I wouldn't say that he's given the answer. I mean, no, I don't think shame on him. It's a very personal decision to decide to stop trying to come back, or no, I wouldn't put it like that.
I mean, I
No,
wouldn't
he
either. I was just quoting my beautiful
yeah.
father.
And no, I don't think this happened because he gave the answer. I mean, if we're going to talk about any move, I think deciding to spend money on Blackwood would have been maybe when they um maybe kind of thought an answer. I think they know it's no, and I still think it's all pretend kind of stuff. I do think the door is always open for him to come back in the playoffs, because then financially they don't have to do anything. I think they wouldn't mind that if he's ready, if he can do it, they'd more than welcome it. But other than that, I think they know it's not happening. They can't just leave that money open. They can't leave that spot in the lineup open. Um, but I guess it's true. Maybe he did come on this trip because they knew something was going to go down. I could see that, because they're not going to have a lot of skating time. They have 2 matinees. You know, it's kind of like, why else would he come? Like, what is he going to be able to do for his rehab? So, you know, it's possible that's what they need him for.
Who knows, man? I think. Anyway, well, I'm still in shock. Well, let's just have a reset here. Just in case you're tuning in right now, you are not reading the title wrong. Yes, Mikko Rantanen has seemingly been traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. They should clarify once again, this is not official yet. The trade call has not been confirmed. The Avalanche have not confirmed this yet, but this is what it's looking like right now. The Colorado Avalanche would get Martin Necas and Jack Drury. Carolina would get Mikko Rantanen and Taylor Hall. And Chicago is the middleman here. They get their own third-round pick back, and they are retaining 50% of Mikko Rantanen's current $9.25 million salary right now. That's it. That seems to be everything seems to be pointing of that happening right now. So, just in case for those of you that are just now tuning in, we have over 2,000 people tuning in. Last time I looked, it was about 2,000, but it might be more than that
It's
now. So thank you all for
2,500
listening.
right now, Evan.
2,500.
Wow.
Yeah. So thank
Well,
you all
thank
for
you
tuning
for
in.
listening to us, for sure.
Thanks for tuning in on a Friday night on a late notice. Yeah, this is not a dream. This is not a nightmare. This is real. That's just how it's going.
It's a fever dream.
It's a fever dream. That's a good way to put it, honestly. So if we're looking at this now, I guess from a Mikko Rantanen perspective, because obviously now he leaves this organization as one of arguably the all-time greatest in that ever has worn one of these jerseys. What legacy will he leave behind now? Does this leave sort of a sour taste in fans and organizations' mouth? Or is it one of those where it's just like, okay, now you move on? What do you think, Brennan?
I'm not going to be mad at Mikko. How can you be mad at Mikko for a guy who literally, it's not like a Duchesne situation where he literally said, you know, it is what it is. I'm here to, you know, fulfill my contractual obligations, hinting at someone else who had the number 9 in on their sweater. Rantanen's always going to be that guy who raised the cup for me, and he's always going to be Moose and the guy who can't ever get around his own legs. So, you know, I will always be a fan of Rantanen, but because he never made it obvious he wanted to be out of here like other players have.
It's a great point. I mean, you think about it, he's a 2015 10th overall pick by the Avalanche.
Who worked his way up.
worked his way up. I mean, this is just his career stats right here. All what the Avalanche know to this point.
And the Rampage.
619 games played, 287 goals, 394 assists for 681 points. That's over a point a game average that Mikko Rantanen has given you as an Avalanche. Jackie, I know that we've kind of harped on it already that, if Rantanen's gone, the window's gone. I know you believe that, but what does this mean for his legacy in Colorado? Same question as Brennan.
Well, I would say not much. Because you won a cup here. I think a lot of those guys are all going to be held in the same regard. We would have loved to see an Av for life. We'll see how many of those guys will be. That remains to be seen. I guess it hurts that it's not Avs for life, but does it change the legacy? I mean, did it change the legacy that Adam Foote left? No. Did it change the legacy that Peter Forsberg left? No. So I don't really think that should change. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Fame player. His numbers should go in the rafters. And, it's too bad he couldn't finish his career here, but I don't think it changes anything about how anybody should feel about him as a player. There are going to be a lot of cracks of like 14 million. There's probably going to be a lot of snide remarks, as that always happens when guys leave the team. But he should be respected. And like Brennan said, nobody should hold it against him that he wants to get paid what he's worth. So the Avs have to make their decisions. And if they think they can make a better team with the money, with other players, then that's their right to do. He should be held in high regard because he was a very, very important piece for this team.
Ado, what do you think if you were listening?
I'm listening. I'm sad. Honestly, hearing both of those first reactions, I'm a little sad. I don't think this tarnishes Mikko's legacy even in the slightest bit. I agree with all the last two speakers. I think also that I'm starting to lean in Jackie's direction in terms of the window. I mean, if you look at the rafters right now, Sakic, Forsberg, those two kind of stick up there together. And for a long time, I felt like Nate and Landeskog were kind of almost Sakic and Forsberg reincarnate. Up until I felt like that was Nathan MacKinnon and Mikko Rantanen. And so I'm with you. The numbers going into the rafters, we'll all give him a standing ovation as soon as he comes back, which is going to be an emotional night, I think, which is kind of, maybe that's a little extreme, but I don't think it is. Like, we're talking about someone who will go down as a top 5 Colorado Avalanche player of all time. I mean, the team just released their quarter century team, and he was on it, and you traded him a week and a half later. And to me, I think you guys are totally right. Mikko's getting paid, and Mikko deserves to get paid. Mikko did everything that the Colorado Avalanche ever asked of him and more. When Nathan MacKinnon couldn't play, it was Mikko Rantanen who drugged this Colorado Avalanche team by their bootstraps and proved to the entire world that he was better than just Nate. Which brings me to my question for all of you. What does this do to the Hart Trophy competition if Nate continues to dominate even without Mikko Rantanen?
I'll just say my piece real quick. It's always about points. Nate finishes in the points lead, he's getting it again. If somebody else overtakes him, that person probably will get the Hart. I really think it's going to be about points this year.
Okay. And sorry to interrupt. The trade call is underway now, and the picks that the Avalanche are getting are all from Carolina.
Great. Just great.
Do they have a first?
They do have a first
Yes.
this year. Yes, they do.
We better get that.
No, they're getting a 4.
I know, but Ado's just saying, like, why? Why couldn't you're getting Mikko Rantanen? Why can't we have your first round pick? It's going to be late anyway.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why, like, if it's just the second and the fourth round from Carolina, like, why not get Chicago's first round? Why not get Carolina's first round? Even if they win the Stanley Cup and they have and Mikko Rantanen scores the game-winning goal in Game 7 in double overtime or something ridiculous like that. Like, get the 32nd pick in the draft. Like, come on. Like, what are we doing here? It's just.
Do the Hurricanes have anyone else's pick? Like, do they? Please God, let them have. I don't know who's terrible right now. Let them have their pick, their second round pick.
They did have 2 seconds, so I don't know what the other one is. I don't, but they had 2 seconds. Or did they have? Yeah, I think that's what I said earlier. They had 2 seconds, but I'd have to check on that.
That sounds right. That does sound right. I mean,
but like I said, and also I'll have to look at their prospect list. I don't know anybody name truly off the top of my head, but they've been a good team for so many years, but they've drafted so well. They have still one of the best prospect pools. They have a lot of NHL ready prospects. That's what I'm saying. Like
Carolina or
just Carolina.
Chicago? Okay.
Carolina.
Yeah. Well, we won't go into their AHL situation.
Well, I mean, they're smart to keep all their prospects in Europe. I mean, that's where NHL ready players develop, and then they come over and they play right away.
They kind of effed themselves last year with the whole Chicago thing.
But like what Ado's saying, like you're giving up the best player in the deal, and you can't get a first, or you can't get an NHL ready prospect. That part hurts because you're the one that has the leverage in this situation. It's almost like they approached the situation where they didn't have leverage. I mean, with him, the threat of him walking, they don't have leverage, but the leverage of the deal and making it right now and making it with Carolina, I'm sure there were a lot of other teams that would have been interested in the services of Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah, that's what makes this so shocking, is that the Avalanche had their opportunity, right? They've known this has been coming up for a while. We thought this was going to be taken care of last July, right? I mean, those were the initial reports then by Jesse Montano that Rantanen will probably get signed in the next few weeks, no biggie. Okay, whatever.
I think at that point that was just wishful reporting.
Like, it's just, oh my gosh, it's nothing ridiculous.
I have another question.
Go ahead.
My question is, does this maybe mean they retool the power play that they didn't even practice?
Well, they have to because Mikko's not on the power play one. They have no choice.
Why wouldn't they
can just go seeking shots from the point and I mean, is he going to do exactly what Mikko Rantanen did though? I mean, does he have that same capability?
I don't know. I'd have to go and look at Carolina's power play.
What I'm curious about is Necas' shooting percentage on the power play.
I'll look at that. Give me a minute.
Well,
give me a minute and I'll find that.
I remember with an interview with Cal Burke when he had to go up and play his game against the Avalanche, that he said Carolina's system is very, very similar to the Avalanche. So last year when he had to do that jump from the Eagles system, which is obviously similar, if not the same, to the Avalanche system, and then go play in Denver against the Avalanche in a Carolina Hurricanes uniform and learn their system within 10 minutes. He said it wasn't hard to learn because it was a very similar system. They're just on the East Coast.
This is funny. Carolina only has one player under 50% expected goals on their entire team.
Who is it?
And it is Necas.
Are you serious?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Oh my Lord. Wow.
See, this is kind of where, I mean, I'm trying so hard right now to actively manage myself. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to clip that shame on Landeskog part and take it completely out of context, let the record show I wish no harm or shame onto the glorious Viking Gabriel Landeskog. But the other thing that comes to mind is you have real problems that you're trying to solve. And I mean, trading away, here's my whole thing. Bednar says to Altitude, I don't think our plan of attack is the problem. And then trades, one of the cornerstones of that plan of attack in the middle of a 1 for 14 or 13, I can't remember off the top of my head, power play drought. I'm just kind of like, is this the sort of move that makes the room, come out on the ice tomorrow and want to get after it? I don't feel like that. I feel like we're going to see one guy, Martin Necas, who's playing really hard, and we're going to see a lot of other guys looking kind of shell-shocked, just like the rest of us are right now. And what I'm curious about is, and your guys' opinion on this is, what do you predict is the reaction in terms of play from this Colorado Avalanche team?
I think you're spot on. You know what, you immediately, when you said that, I immediately thought to that Dallas game 4 of the playoffs last year, when just hours before you learned about the Nichushkin suspension. You learned about that, just kind of came out of the blue, right? It immediately, that game, like, you could tell from the drop of the puck, like, the Avs they weren't going to win that game. Like, they had no energy to them. They were all shell shocked. Even the fans, like, you could feel it in Ball Arena that they were all just like, we have to play a hockey game after the news that we
good
just got?
time for
like,
a back-to-back matinee. They're going to be playing in
Right?
about, I don't know, 15 hours.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
not
well,
13 hours.
it's my guess that we're not going to have either player for the first
Yeah.
game.
And exactly,
because
that's the practical question. Let's see, where was Carolina even logistically right now? I know they played last night.
If they were at home last night, they maybe can
Well,
get in.
it may not be a problem, but
let's see where they were going to play tomorrow.
they were at home last night against.
They were going to play at the Islanders, so they aren't far. So I guess it's
that's not bad.
It's possible, but I mean that's such a quick turnaround. It's like, I guess if they can logistically get there, they can play.
We'll find out.
Well, Staten Island to Boston is not that big.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But I think here's the thing too: the Avalanche. I mean, they only called up Chris Wagner for this trip. They didn't call back up Ivan because he was sent back down. It was just Chris Wagner that came back. So, I mean,
they don't have any
Chris
extra
Wagner
players.
play, but I don't love that.
Well, they don't have any extra play. I mean, unless Miles, how it was before, unless Miles Wood played, they didn't have any extra players.
Yeah, Wood was going to take the morning skate because you can still do a morning skate with a 1 o'clock drop. It just has to be early. And they were going to see if his back was going to hold up. And if it's anything like mine, good luck.
Yeah.
Well, he's going to get he's getting rushed like
I mean, you get my point, though. It's like I sleep on the couch wrong and I'm screwed. So,
so as far as Necas, I mean, this could be either good or bad, but he half of his production is on the power play. So 25 points, 5-on-5, 22 points on the power play. So shooting 10% at 5-on-5. So, I mean, like I said, you could look at that as a good thing that he'll help the power play, but then the other thing is they need 5-on-5 scoring really bad. And if that's not quite his bread and butter, that could be a little bit of a concern.
I mean, again, it's just like we've mentioned earlier. If you trade Mikko Rantanen, you are more likely than not going to get better. That's where I'm at with this.
Yeah, I think that's the bottom line is they're not better after making this move.
I mean, we can talk about helping out the power play because that's a whole other problem in and of itself, right? But now you're losing a key player who scored twice on that power play to open the season in a hat trick in a loss to the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 1, and now you're losing that. And I don't think
Mikko has been their best power play player for years. People can look it up. He's been the most productive, scored the most goals on the power play. So he is,
well, if I remember from the last game notes, he had more power play points or goals than Nathan MacKinnon does.
For sure.
And it's only by 4 or 5, but I mean he still has more than Mac did. So
I have another one for you guys. From the Carolina Hurricanes perspective, I almost said Panthers. Geez, this trade has just shook me into Super Bowl 50. But here's the thing. I'm curious, like from a outside standpoint, this is like a big deal for Carolina. They are Cup contenders. I'm sure if we look at the odds makers tomorrow, they'll be right up there, if not the top team. And it feels a lot like, what Ezra pointed to a couple of episodes ago, which is that most teams that win the Stanley Cup make a move and stimulate their top six. This isn't just stimulating your top six. You just traded for the best player on your team.
I mean, Necas is a big part of their team. I mean, we got to say that. But absolutely, I agree. This is a cup. This is an all-in, whatever. This is truly an all-in, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
This is them recognizing they need something to get over that hump. And I do think that Mikko will elevate that team.
He has 4 more goals than Nathan McKinnon and is 1, 2, 3, 4.
I have
5th
8
in power play goals than in the franchise history, below Peter Stastny, who has 120.
For this year, what I'm looking at is Mikko has 8 power play goals and McKinnon has 3 for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think it just kind of says everything that we've been saying, right? That they do not get better with this move. Now, this is
Eagles just tweeted out, don't think about Mikko, think about Prishy scoring.
I did see that. Yeah.
I hope Prishy scored, but I need something to believe that they give a crap about any of these guys. Truly. Including Ivan.
Yeah, I know. It's, oh my gosh. I'm just in shock. I'm like, I noticed this halfway through the episode. I'm like this owl right here that's painted behind me at this random hotel that I'm at in the middle of nowhere, New York, about this trade. Like, I feel like that just symbolizes everything about what is going on right now.
Well,
I think
Evan?
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I want to say, too, we almost have 3,000 people on our stream right now, which is absolutely insane. Thank you to the 3,000 of you, which is something I didn't think I'd ever utter, but that's really cool. But I'll say this. I'm starting to feel a lot like a Pittsburgh Penguin fan.
I think they very much are on a Pittsburgh. Well, but they're not holding on to their big 3, so I guess they're not Pittsburgh anymore.
Well, speaking of Pittsburgh, because Kevin Weeks is doing Kevin Weeks thing, he is stirring the pot. I don't think that's happening. Just FYI.
No. Don't even utter it. Don't know.
I didn't say it. Jackie did.
You got to say it.
Okay,
Jackie
here's
said
what
it.
I think about Crosby. Okay, I'll say my piece about Crosby here. Everyone thinks, the Avs can't do it because of the assets. It would be doing Sid a favor. Like, if he truly wants to go somewhere, they're doing it to do him a favor. It's not going to cost what you think. However, are the Avs good enough for Sid to threaten his legacy as a lifelong Penguin to play on this team?
This team isn't good enough for Sid right now.
They're not even first in their own division.
Right. So I think that's more the question than like, ooh, are the Avs setting themselves up to do it? I mean, why would he want to come to a team? Oh, look, these players might even get us to our 50. Why would he want to come to a team that has played 50 players, mostly by their own choice, in upheaval, turmoil? They don't have a captain. Like, why wouldn't he be, I'm chilling. I'll wait and see if he's ready to really chase the cup at the very end of his career. Why would he do that now? Like, he absolutely would wait it out and then choose the best place for him to go to.
Mike Sanford of Altitude Radio just said, I'm just going to say it. Sid the Kid loves him some elevation. No, he doesn't.
They're stirring the pot. I will believe it when I see it. I don't believe it.
What they're doing is coping. What they're doing is coping because they realize that we just let go of a superstar. And when they go to the ring, they're going to not have that guy to watch.
We still have Nate. We still have Kale.
Yeah.
I said that guy. You won't have 9.
I think here's the thing is that
Still
all
have that
three of them, yeah, they all work together in tandem, right? But especially when you look below that top six, it's just been a bloodbath this year. And trading one of those top guys to try and improve that sort of bottom line, while also maybe tinkering with your top six with a player who's good in Necas, but isn't as good as Rantanen. I don't think that's going to work. I just don't.
I mean, they
Again,
have
I have to wait. Yeah, I just have
they
to
have
wait
a
and
bottom nine
see.
problem. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
the how much they rode McKinnon and Rantanen. Like I said, the 26 isn't an over exaggeration. Like that's literally what Rantanen played the last game.
Okay, here
And
I have some numbers for you now. So after moving Rantanen and acquiring Necas and Drury, I should mention Necas's contract is 6.5 million and Drury's is 1.725 million. The Avs created an extra just over million in cap space.
Yeah,
Which
that's not much.
like that's just not it's not much. It's not going to be the Landeskog return that they're all thinking of. And it's not happening yet. It's just not.
You'd have to clear out someone else, and like,
well, they still need
I
to get their defensemen.
yeah.
This is the other thing. They might be done with forwards. I could see that. I mean, unless they can really make a Middlestat trade or something. But, I mean, I guess they could always get another rental. But I think the next big thing on their list is going to be a defenseman.
Well, and like, I mean, I'm not saying that I'm jumping on the Miles Wood train, but he's got a modified trade clause, 6 teams, so they can move him to a good portion of the league without him saying, "Hey, approve." But they can get rid of Miles Wood. I know you guys are saying it's going to be hard with his back and everything, but hey, the Avs took Brad Stewart back in the day. And then he sat on the bench for 2 years? So, and he was having back problems back then. That may be before you were old enough to remember, Evan. So,
yeah, that's before my time. That's before my time. We're over an hour now into this emergency episode, late on a Friday night. At least for me personally, it's 10 o'clock Eastern here. And we have over 3,000 people listening, at least as of the last updates that Ado gave us. So thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to follow all of our social media channels up above us. At Mile High Hockey is the main social media account. You can also follow at MHH_lab, which is over in that top corner for the podcast. Be sure to check out our website, milehighhockey.com. And this episode will likely be available later this weekend sometime on your preferred platform of podcast listening. So be sure to keep an eye out for that. We've been going on for about an hour, so I think I'm going to leave it with one last question, at least for me personally. You all can keep on going, but I need to go to bed. I got to be up early for a ski meet tomorrow. But this is just another example, I guess, of what Chris McFarland has kind of taken over with this team, right? He's kind of been the one that's been in control for a little while now. Joe Sakic has mentioned that even though he was GM until Chris McFarland officially took over that title, it was mostly McFarland that was making deals and whatnot. But it feels like more than ever this year that he has been willing to move on and make some big moves. This is just another one of those, right? We saw Anderson get moved, and then just over a week later, Georgiev was gone, right? Now you have 2 brand new goaltenders in net. I think that kind of solved that problem there. Does this move that McFarland made with Rantanen, is that something that obviously he made the move, so I think he's going to like it, but is that something that he might regret come the trade deadline, come summer free agency time? What do you think, Brennan?
No, because if they were hitting a snag with negotiations.
Sorry, interrupting real quick. The trade is official now, by the way. So the official trade is in that Mikko Rantanen is off to the Carolina Hurricanes, and in return, the Avalanche get Martin Necas, Jack Drury, a 2025 second round pick, and a 2026 fourth round pick. So just like things had been said basically for the last hour, it is now official. Mikko
Officially
Rantanen,
official.
Mikko Rantanen is no longer a member of the Colorado Avalanche. Sorry for interrupting, Brennan, but
It's all good.
keep on going.
So now I don't think he'll regret it. If it was going to turn into a Ryan O'Reilly situation where we weren't going to get anything for it, and that's what he was looking at, then I think we might as well get something for him and do it before, what is it, 6 weeks until trade deadline?
About, yeah.
Yeah, so which you might as well get something decent in return. So I'd say Necas is decent. Necas, yeah.
My answer to that question is, jokingly, let me tell you in a year. But my honest answer is that I think he did himself a favor in terms of the fact that ignorance is bliss, because I'm hard pressed to believe that at the deadline you're not getting better offers than this, based on the dire need and the fact that teams are just typically more willing to overpay at the deadline. I just don't get why. Two things: how did this not get done in the offseason before he had a hat trick on opening night and went off and continued to be your second best player or first best player on most nights, and on some nights, excuse me? And two, if you're gonna trade him, why do it now? You could find out exactly what everyone on the market is willing to offer and choose your favorite offer. To me, this feels rushed. This feels like it will inevitably be kind of a besmirching mark on what is, up to this point and kind of up until a few deals before this, a pretty squeaky clean and impressive trade record for Chris McFarland. I'm not feeling that way at this very moment. I don't think anyone is tweeting right now, "Oh, don't answer the phone if Chris McFarland is calling."
Jackie, what do you think? You are muted, by the way, if you are talking. Just
Okay. Yeah.
There you go.
What is the exact question?
Well, because McFarland has now made several of these big moves, right? He made it with Blackwood, he made it with Georgiev and Annunen and all that sort of stuff, and Wedgwood. This move by Rantanen is another one of those big moves where he's playing, he's going all out. What's the term in blackjack? He's all in. I don't know exactly, but is this a move that McFarland might regret by the time the trade deadline comes around, or by the time free agency comes around? What do you think? Just with everything.
Oh yeah, I think he'll regret it. I mean, you're giving up the best player in a deal, Hall of Famer in his prime. But when will he regret it? Do I think he's going to regret it 6 weeks from now? Probably not, unless they just go on a crazy losing streak. But it's hard to say because we know there's going to be other moves and we don't know what they are. We don't know if they think they kind of need to retool and not blow all their assets this year, or if they actually think this is a move that makes it more likely you're going to win the Stanley Cup. If they really truly believe that, let's see what the other moves are, because I'm a little scared of what that's going to cost. To be sitting here on March 7th and say this team is more likely to win the Stanley Cup. So
I don't think they're going to win it this year anyways. But,
well, they weren't anyway, but I mean,
yeah.
I know I'm the negative one, but I'm saying...
No, I've been agreeing with you the whole year, like saying it's not going to happen. And I know Ado's just shaking his head at us, but that ain't going to happen, Ado.
But as far as their perspective, are they sitting there thinking this is a move that's going to win us the Stanley Cup this year?
No.
I would love to hear the justification of how that makes you better. But, like I said, only they knew how close or how much of a risk him actually walking would have been. That would have been way more devastating. I've always said you have to get something. Necas is a good piece. He's a good player, and they're going to have to pay him. So if we're looking at it, is this better than him walking? Is this better than one more run at the Cup and then he walks? Yeah, I'd say so, because I don't think they were going to win with him. But are they winning it now with how the team is constructed now? I think they're a few steps away. So as far as regret, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what their internal plan is and what their internal evaluation is. You felt like the goalie moves were kind of like, we have to save the season kind of move. And like, is this a we have to save the season kind of move? It definitely feels different, doesn't it? So is it a we have to save the franchise kind of move? Because it would be devastating if he walked for nothing. If they made that evaluation, then you have to do something. Then I guess I agree with that. I don't know if over the summer it would have been like way better, or it does feel a little light, especially with the kind of assets that other teams get for huge star players. It's hard to say, but all we can sit here and say is, do we think this team is more likely to win the Cup? No. And in the future, that's really hard to say, because they have to figure so much more out. So it's hard to say. It hurts now, but it's going to look great in a couple years. It's tough to say that too.
Yeah, I'm pretty much with you there, Jackie. I feel like that this move by McFarland is maybe one too many, doing too much, right? I think you nailed it with the goaltenders. Like, that's something that had to be done, right? I think that was an apparent issue that needed to be addressed, and that was done. This Rantanen one, it obviously wasn't an issue there, right? The issue was, are they going to pay him? Are they going to extend him? Is he going to be a member of the Avalanche forever? Is he going to be the next Joe Sakic legendary player, right? And that's unfortunately not going to be the case. And, this might be tinkering too much with the team. This might be, I really hope not, knock on wood. I am getting, I guess, not flashbacks, but I'm getting feelings of being the Nashville Predators this year. You think about all the moves that they made with bringing in Stamkos and bringing everybody in and kind of switching it all up. Now they're sitting towards the bottom of the entire NHL. I'm not saying the Avalanche are going to fall all the way down there, but
I had high hopes for Nashville.
The chemistry is such a, like, you're going to play 50 players this year. Your chemistry is just, it's out the door. And these players hardly know each other. I don't care about the fluff piece that our room is so much better because we traded our goalie. I mean, no, it's not about one player in and out. It's about a team. It's about cohesion, chemistry, building something together. And you're trading out almost the entire team. It's just, it's not a winning formula. A team doesn't win making all these different moves. It's anti-chemistry.
Well, what I think it's also saying is that, we're ready to move on from the Stanley Cup core.
I would definitely say that the Cup team's done. Yeah.
Yeah, because the only players that are left are Mac, technically Landy,
Makar, Taves, Lehkonen.
Taves, and Lehkonen. That's it.
Manson and Gerard.
Manson and Gerard. Yeah. But like the pre-Cup, like the ones who went through the down period where we had the shoot ton of losses.
By the way, we're missing Nichushkin on that list too.
Yeah, Nichushkin.
They're also down to 2 players on this team they drafted. 2.
Kale and Mac.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And that's it. Okay. And then so the only players that they have left from prior to the Cup, I think, are McKinnon.
Yeah, and Landeskog, if you want to count that too. But
yeah, because I remember there was that picture that they posted like during the Cup, and they're like, this is the original core that stuck with the team, and it was Comfer, Rantanen, McKinnon, and
it should have been Jost. I mean, he was there for 4.75 years.
Yeah.
overall, this has just been a huge shockwave in the Avalanche organization, a shockwave in the entirety of the NHL. I am
The
hesitant
big
to say
question
the
is, if
Avalanche aren't
McFarland
done.
does a presser, will it be recorded?
That was going to be the next thing I was going to ask. The interaction, at least tomorrow for sure, once players are interviewed post game in that locker room, it is going to be a very interesting telltale sign to see really what the Avalanche locker room looks like and really what things are going to be like going forward.
If it's
It's going to
filmed.
be astonishing. Nonetheless, it is 10:15 almost Eastern time for me, so I should probably get going. I don't know if anyone else has any other thoughts about this subject that we've just kind of harped on for the last hour and 15 minutes. Ado, if you want to take us home, by all means.
Yeah,
But leave this one in
let's
your
wrap it
hands.
up. So let's wrap it up so I can go home and cry into my pillow, and start the coping process. No, I'm being dramatic. This has been a crazy day, and an incredible response from our following to come join this program on such late notice. I know it's probably the biggest breaking news story in Avs since probably the Duchesne trade. So we appreciate you folks for coming to the Mile High Hockey Lab for your coverage of this grandiose event in Avalanche folklore. But thank you folks for tuning in. This has been the Mile High Hockey Lab. We love you, and go Avalanche.
Thank you for tuning into the Mile High Hockey Lab.